52 past the hour this morning, we're getting new reaction to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. An Associated Press poll out today shows 48% of Americans think President Trump's deportation policies have gone too far. It comes as a federal judge in California blocked President Trump's effort to halt federal funding for sanctuary cities. Joining us now is Sabrina Rodriguez, national political reporter for The Washington Post. Sabrina, it's always a treat to see you. What is the significance of this move by the judge?
I mean, I think it's very significant to see this is not just one action. We're seeing judges, I mean, the orders are piling up against the Trump administration's immigration policy. This is something that Trump has wanted to do for years. This is something he attempted to do in his first term because he's always he's always attacked sanctuary cities and, focused on them very much and these jurisdictions and saying, well, they need to be cooperating with federal immigration enforcement. So to see this come down this way again shows, of course, the power of the courts here in blocking something that, again, we see he's going to be pushing and we're going to see appeals and we're going to see this still work its way through the courts. But it is an initial blockage of something that he already wanted to put into place.
And a new Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll shows that a majority of those polled now disapprove of the president's immigration crackdown, compared with the majority approving just back in February. What has changed, Sabrina?
I mean, I think it's people really seeing exactly what this looks like. When we were talking in February, it was just a few weeks into the Trump administration. People were still going off of what he had promised on the campaign trail. And talking to a lot of voters last year and folks who did go ahead and vote for Donald Trump, a lot of people said, well, he's just going to focus on criminals, or, oh, it is going to be an orderly process that's necessary after what was perceived to be a chaos at the border. But now what we're starting to see is more and more headlines piling up of people that, have been deported without due process. We're seeing more headlines about just the chaotic nature of this, and we're seeing that he is going far beyond just deporting criminals, as some people thought was going to be the focus of all of this.
I mean, even though during the campaign he was very clear that he wished to create the largest deportation force in American history, that would mean a lot of things. And so the surprise to many is almost a question, because he was very clear about this.
Absolutely. I think the interesting thing, though, is that is sort of a piece of the persona of Donald Trump, though, is a lot of people who support him and a lot of people who ultimately voted for him any of the three times or all three times. Something about him is that people sort of select the pieces of what he says. Since he talks so much and he comes out and he makes these sweeping promises and he says, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, a lot of people say, well, that piece, he's not actually going to do that. No, really, he's going to do this. And that's sort of where now he finds himself, where he made a lot of sweeping promises, not just on immigration, but on issues across the board. And now it's how exactly do you hold him to it when he said one thing one day and another thing another day?
So, of the many things that I've told you this, that I'm proud of you for, one of the most important ones is that you're from La Ciudad que Progresa.
I'm very proud to be from Hialeah.
Me too. We love it. Shout out to Hialeah, ¿verdad?
Absolutely, always.
Gracias, Sabrina. Muchísimas gracias.